Hello, I'm Andy Chatha, President of ARC Advisory Group. I'm delighted to have with us today Dr. Helmuth Ludwig, CEO of Siemens Industry USA. Welcome, Helmuth.
Thank you. Hi, Andy. How are you doing?
Good. We are seeing a lot of optimism among industry executives here at ARC Industry Forum for the last couple of days. Maybe you could tell us, when you are talking to your customers, what are you hearing from your customers?
Yeah, actually, I share the optimism. I share the optimism for 2014, but even more the years beyond 2014. And the reasons are, I believe we do have a mind change here in the US. We think about manufacturing again as something very positive. And if you think about this, one manufacturing job creates 1.5 jobs outside of manufacturing. So there's a great multiplier, which is very important for the overall economy. And if you think about the impact on innovation, I mean, 80% of patents are actually coming out of the manufacturing sector. So I think that's an important part of it. The optimism, however, is also based on some short-term effects, which we see right now. It's the discussion we have on natural gas, which of course is very important, with prices 1/3 to 1/4 towards other parts of the world, especially as feedstock to companies very well represented here at the ARC Forum, the chemical industry, metals technologies that really benefit from lower feedstock prices, the closing productivity and cost gap to some other parts of the world. And one element is really very interesting. There are almost $2 trillion cash available on American balance sheets. Just imagine, this gets invested.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think will sustain this momentum? Do you think we can carry this momentum for a while? How do you see that?
Very, very good question, because we all know these energy, especially on natural gas, these prices, they will not adjust from 1 month to another. There is expectation demand will go up, then supply will also increase again, and there might be somewhere a corridor between $4 and $6 per million BTU, which still would be pretty attractive for most companies to invest here in the US. But at some point in time, other regions in the world will also tap in these kind of gas resources. So overall, the competitive advantage over time will level off. And then the key question is, what's sustainable? And there our belief is sustainable is deep cultural strengths. The one example is entrepreneurship, the innovation power, but especially the strengths in software we find here in the United States. When you look at the top 100 software companies worldwide, and you look at their revenue, 79% of this revenue is coming from companies headquartered in the US. 79%. And if you think about this 21% left for all the rest of the world, this is a very deep strength. And then you transform this and you wonder, what does it mean for manufacturing? And let me give you there one very specific example. We provide software to simulate the movement of robots. And what we did there, we made a change in the software parameters and included there the energy intake as one parameter to optimize. We didn't change anything physically. The only thing we changed was the software. Change was 24% less energy intake. And this is one of these examples, where just by software changes, you can make things happen which are enormous. Or then you asked me last time about the Mars rover. Right. The Mars rover landing. Doug McCuestion and his team, they tried it 1,000 times. How did they try it? Physically impossible. They tried it virtually. This is possible today with simulation software, and there the US has an enormous strength.
There is a lot of change in technology right now, and maybe you could go tell us a little bit, how is Siemens working with you, how you are working with your customers to help them sustain this momentum?
Yes, absolutely. When you think this through and the potential benefits of improved competitiveness, especially we find in the US, then there is an enormous benefit when you're able to combine the design of products with the implementation in the manufacturing space. Let me give you an example, very specific on a machine. For example, a machine coming from a German manufacturer, but used a lot in the US from Index. Where we combine there is the physical, the numerical control with a virtual representation of the machine. What is the input, or what is the effect out of this? It is that the user, who usually needs about 8 to 9 hours in the transition period to a new part, he can now reduce this to 6 to 7 hours. The fun part is only 1 hour is on the physical machine. The rest is on a virtual representation of the machine. And that's how we help our customers to become more productive. In this very specific case, machine availability during the transition process increased by 80%. So it's not the 3%, 4%, 5%, it's 80% more time. And this is what we do there with our customers, with the end customers, for example, the automotive industry, with the OEMs that provide the machines, and we provide the tools, the numerical controller, the virtual machine behind it, the software behind this.
Yeah. We have been listening to many customers speak here at our conference, and certainly, like you say, they are not looking for just small incremental improvements. They are looking for a step change.
Absolutely.
You know, big
Absolutely.
improvements. And do you have any other examples how you are helping your customers?
I think you can transfer the same into the process industry. Virtual commissioning allows you to commission the plant virtually before you do it physically. You find errors much earlier when they hardly cost anything compared to when you do it physically. Now, the key question, however, is, which we discussed this morning, how do you prepare your teams for this? And I believe there we have a task, all of us, all the industry has a task. Sometimes we talk about a skills gap. It is really a training gap, which means the responsibility is not with the ones that should be trained. The responsibility is the ones who train. And this is all of us in industry, this is us in the educational institutions, and this is also the overall regulatory environment. And there, I believe there is also, coming back to the starting discussion, there's a mentality change. People really buy into apprenticeship programs now again. An apprentice who comes today out of one of our programs has a higher salary than somebody who is coming from a liberal arts college. It just shows how valued these kind of experiences are. And it's so important to keep on training your workforce then during the process. Siemens, for example, spends worldwide $500 million per annum. Here alone in the US, about $50 million in training of our teams. And this is really absolutely critical. That's critical when we build the new middle class. And sometimes we talk about manufacturing the new middle class, because this will define the future of manufacturing here in the US.
Helmuth, all of this is very interesting. I want to thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Andy.
We have been listening to Dr. Helmuth Ludwig. Thank you for listening.